Hi, gang. It's Kale.
And Patrick.
Coming up on today's episode, we give our spoiler-free review of Disney's latest animated movie, Wish. As always, we discuss the latest Disney news, and we close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Patrick, you still go fishing with Jack Twist? I used to wonder how come you never brought home any trout, even though you said you caught plenty and you know how me and the girls like fish. So one night, I got your krill case open the night before you went on one of your little trips, price tag still on it after 5 years, and I tied a note at the end of the line. It said, "Hello, Ennis. Bring home some fish. Love, Elma." And then you come back looking all perky, saying you caught a bunch of brownies and ate them up. Do you remember? I look in that case first chance I got, and there was the note still tied there. That line hadn't touched water in its life. Don't try and fool me no more, Ennis. I know what it means. Jack Twist.
Oh, boy.
Jack Nasty. You didn't go up there to fish. You and him. Kazuki!
Wow. Not Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, Brokeback Mountain. So let me oh, no, do mine first.
Why is that in your head? I have questions. Kale origin story English.
Oh, I love.
Yeah.
I like how
Listen,
yours is always on theme with the pod and mine's nonsense.
You noticed. Okay, so this is a test for you. Can you next time find a movie quote that's on theme with the episode?
I absolutely, yes, I will. But it can be sort of obscure,
Challenge.
like mine, but it has to match the theme, is what you're saying? It can still be an obscure movie.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, yes. I will absolutely do that.
Wait, are you saying that Brokeback Mountain is an obscure movie? How dare you?
I feel like that's because Roger, so Roger is actually the one. Roger all the time will do that Jack Twist, Jack Nasty, and so he's actually where I got this idea from. And then
That's
last
amazing.
night I was struggling to come up with something to say between your name, and Mark goes, "Oh, do the Brokeback Mountain thing, the Jack Nasty," and I was like, "That's exactly what I'm doing." But it's not an obscure movie quote, but it's a classic.
So this was an Atlanta D collaboration, you're saying?
In Atlanta. That takes me back. Do you remember
those
when
days?
we were the Atlanta Ds? Yeah,
I do.
That's amazing.
I do indeed. And then you just never went away. So here we are.
Never went away. Yep.
Here we are.
How are you, Patrick?
I'm good. Thank you so much for asking. I'm in a good place right now, I feel like. Ups and downs happen, but I'm in an upward trajectory right now, which is good.
Yeah, a manic upswing. I'm there with you.
I know it's all going to come crashing down.
No, I know.
It's not going to be pretty. But
No,
how are you?
I'm doing good. I will say I know that you probably hate this. The Saturday morning recordings are my favorite.
No, I don't hate it. I really love it because I'm not tired. I'm like, I'm awake. I'm
Same.
I can do this.
Yeah.
But then I realize that I have to edit for the rest of the weekend.
Oh, that's right. Well, I don't have to do that. This is my favorite. So
Poor me. Poor Patrick.
No, but I also feel like I'm in a decent place.
Good.
She doesn't listen to this podcast, so I'm going to ask for feedback on something. I have no clue what to get my 10-year-old niece for Christmas. Like, it's to the point where I'm truly completely stumped. If anybody knows,
Yeah.
send it to me. DM me, because I'm completely lost. She's the only person right now that has nothing.
Yeah. And that age is tough. You know what I would suggest? Here's what I do for my nieces sometimes when they're nieces and nephews, when they get to that age, they kind of love having autonomy and getting like gift cards and saying, we're going to go shopping. And here's a gift card that you can spend. So they get to spend a day with you and buy what they want to buy. That's my suggestion.
Yeah, and I think it's not them, it's me, because I still want there to be that like they're both little kids and we sit down and they open all the gifts from Uncle Kale because he gets them a million things to open, and then he's the best uncle in the world. He's greater than Santa Claus, and but they're getting older, and I have to kind of accept that that's kind of what they want, right? Like she wants to be able to go into a store and like pick out something, and so it just makes me sad.
Well, you can still get her a plush. Get her the star plush from Wish.
I didn't. I got her the new. No, I can't tell you, because Holly might listen to it in the car, and then I hear I've ruined Christmas. But
Holly, close your ears for 5 seconds.
Right.
Good times. Well, okay, good mental health check. You're doing well, though. That's what you've established that, yes?
Yes, doing very well.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Well, our Tweedles are doing well as well. Kale, we have some celebrations.
They are celebrating. You want me to kick us off?
Do you want to? Or I can if you want me to.
Rock, paper, scissors?
This is exciting. Okay, ready? Are we doing rock, paper, scissors, go, or rock, paper, go?
We'll do rock, paper, scissors, go.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. You didn't do it at all.
Yes, I did.
You were like,
okay, well, we were both.
Delay.
we were Scissor Sisters guys.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Remember the Scissor Sisters? I missed that band.
I absolutely missed the Scissor Sisters. Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, great.
Okay, at Bourbon Plant Guy celebrated my partner Jonathan's 37th birthday. So lucky to have him in my life. Well, happy birthday, partner Jonathan. And we are lucky to have both of you in our lives.
True story. Happy birthday.
What did y'all do? What did y'all do for the birthday?
Yeah, true story. What did you do? Let us know. What did you get him? Did you get him a star plush from the movie Wish, or a gift card from Kale?
Did you get him some bourbon? Did you get him a plant, or did you get him a guy?
Oh, my stars. Maybe all of the above. All of the above is what I'm going with.
Yep.
We have at Fun Jeff saying, celebrating Daddy Tomorrow, complimenting my Xmas caroling group at a performance in NYC this week. Wow.
Details, please.
So many questions. Why was
that could have been a news story?
Why was Josh Tomorrow there? What carols did you sing? Why were you in New York? What's the group called? I had so many questions.
We need more details, Fun Jeff. Fun Jeff. Don't be vague, Jeff.
Yeah, not at vague, Jeff.
Right. At Steveachu, who has become a weekly I'm Celebrating participant, by the way.
Yes, love it. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He said, love, that's what. And you know what? No more context needed. Yeah. Perfect. You came
love at you.
Correct. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Love at you.
Celebrating at Love at you.
Yes.
We have our very own at JT is here celebrating Nashville in Harmony concert weekend. You better sing.
And he's I believe he is singing like right now, or getting ready to sing like right now, like as we're recording. He's singing tonight. And he sang last night.
Or he's still painting the set. We don't really know. Last
that's
we
right.
heard.
Yeah. Apparently, JT is the go-to guy for that Nashville.
If you're
Harmony.
listening and you're in JT's choir, you better put some more work in, because JT is doing all the lifting.
Put some more work in. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My gosh.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. Enough said.
At C_Ross22_ gaining my health back after a 3-day stint in the hospital with pneumonia. Well, yeah, that's the worst. So sorry, but glad that you are out of the hospital and that you are getting your health back.
Glad you're on the mend. Little side note. See, we learn things about our Tweedles sometimes.
We do.
Ross22 has been on a remarkable health journey these past couple years, I believe, and was at the Run Disney events and is doing such a great job. So congratulations, and we're so proud of you, Ross22.
Congratulations.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
Also, I will never accept the P in pneumonia, but it's fine.
That's fair. Moving on, we have at Realtor on the Run saying ran Space Coast Marathon and shaved off 39 minutes. Wow. Congratulations.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't even shave in 39 minutes. You shaved off 39 minutes on your marathon.
Yeah,
well done.
Same.
Well done. Mm-hmm.
At Hibdande, which we have successfully been pronouncing correctly for a little over 2 months now.
Yeah.
A discounted stay at Art of Animation thanks to Chris from Wishful Thinking.
Oh,
look at the good we do, Patrick. Yes.
We do so many good things for our Tweedles. You're welcome is what I'm hearing in that. You're very welcome. Good job, Chris. Good job, Hibdande. Love it. I love
what are you celebrating, PK?
What am I celebrating? That's a good question. I'm
Yes.
celebrating a weekend of doing nothing this weekend. A week,
Ooh,
like
nice.
whatever I want to do. I mean, last week was a lot, you know? Last week being like Thanksgiving, everyone in the world had a birthday. It was wild, and now I have nothing to do.
No, I
don't have to
agree.
cook any food. I don't have to go to any stupid part. Just kidding. No, they're fun parties. But
No,
what about you?
I agree
What are
with you.
you celebrating, Kale?
Well, so similar to what the week JT had, this Sunday, tomorrow, starts my official Hell Week with my chorus. And as much as I love singing and as much as I love performing, I am celebrating the fact that I get to just rest for like 2 months after next weekend. So I just get, some time back, some rejuvenation. It'll be awesome. But I also love singing with the chorus. So that's not a negative. It's just Hell Week is always like, you know, something's going to go wrong at work, which makes it double Hell Week. And then something's going to go wrong at home, which there's going to be a leak. Like, it's just the way it works.
Yeah. Remember being in your 20s when you were like, I'm doing 6 shows and I have a full-time job and I'm da-da-da. And it's like, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
No, people don't believe me when I tell them that, like, I would be rehearsing for like 2 shows at once and
100%.
actively performing in one. And they're like, that's not a thing. And I'd be like, it was a thing constantly. Like
all the time.
Like I was like, come on. But I do not know how I did it. I do not know how I did it.
Why? Well,
what on earth?
Being younger helps for sure.
Yeah, but
it's too much. It's too much now. I'm auditioning for a show next week, and I'm already tired just thinking about auditioning.
Yes,
for a show.
I get it.
Yeah.
Totally
crazy.
No, you're right. Our rehearsal life in early 20s. My goodness gracious.
Superstars. All right, let's move on, Kale, to some listener feedback. We haven't had listener feedback in a while, it feels like.
We have not, and both of these seem to be about me a little bit.
Wow. Okay. I mean, you're not wrong, but way to find the common thread.
Yes. At the Disney Parks teacher, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
I'd like to file a complaint. Oh, no. I began listening to this week's episode, and apparently a Book of Mormon sing-along led by Kale and Patrick was promised for today's happiest hour. That never materialized. I demand a refund. He is correct. We did promise a Book of Mormon sing-along, and we did not deliver. But you're not getting a refund. You need to read the contract. So, yeah.
All sales are final on Patreon. All sales are final.
But we will make it up to you, but all sales are final. We also love you, Jeff, so much. I'm so glad that he was at the happiest hour.
Isn't he a delight? I can't believe it. I think that was his first one that he attended, too, the happiest hour.
I think so, too. Also, he has a gorgeous head of hair.
He does. It's true.
Like, well, I've always seen it in pictures and always thought it was like good hair, but like when he was like actually in the Zoom, he has very luxurious hair.
You're not wrong. You know what? We have the best listeners. We really
do.
I can't explain it, but everyone's amazing. And if you missed the happiest hour on Earth, join us next time. But you have to be a Patreon member to get that invitation. So
you sure do.
Head on over to our website, click on donate, and become a Patreon member, and you get to spend a full hour a month with us every month.
Every month.
When we remember to do it.
That's true.
We're the worst. There will be one in December. Trust and believe. There will be one in December. So look out for that.
Trust and believe.
All right, we have one more listener feedback at Dubucat. How would you say that? Dubucat.
I would say Dubucat, yeah.
Dubucat. I like that. Okay, Dubucat says, I've been having a difficult week, spending a lot of time in front of my SAD lamp. I'm assuming that's a seasonal affective disorder lamp.
Yes.
This episode had me laughing so hard when Kale was talking about Smell by Kale. Oh,
listen.
I'm glad you're feeling better, Dubucat, but raise the bar on what you think is funny. Because
No. Listen, that was polarizing. My DMs for 2 weeks have been filled with comments about Smell by Kale. Yeah. And it's either been people saying, that's hilarious, or what on earth?
Get out of
that sounds
town.
vile. Yes. But thank you, Dubucat. Also, please send me the link to your SAD lamp. I'm being completely serious. Please.
You know what? They work. They give me a little bit of a headache though, because all that light. So like, it's like, what am I solving? Now I'm sad.
Yeah,
because I have a headache,
right.
But
now you have a headache.
But they work for a lot of people, so whatever works for you, get in front of whatever works for you and get on top of it.
Please share. Please share Dubercat. I'm completely serious.
Yeah, let us know what that lamp is. Maybe we'll share it with our Tweetles, too. If it works for you, then we are all about mental health.
And moving on.
Yes, Kale?
I think that we should make a piece of Disney history by making This Week in Disney history.
Wow. With you running the show today, I was like, is he just going to skip over This Week in Disney history?
No,
like, bye,
I would
next
never.
news.
I know
Time
that
for
you
the news.
love this. I know you love This Week in Disney history.
Everybody does. All right, let's get into it, Kale. Okay, the first one, there's not really a quiz, but you know what? I can make it a quiz. Okay, so the first one is a birthday that we have to celebrate. So on December 5th, 1901, 120 years ago, Walter Elias Disney was born to Flora and Elias Disney. Happy birthday, Walt Disney.
Happy birthday, Walt.
Oh, I love that. We're going to get sued.
That was cute.
That. But yeah, it was.
Oh, no. See, changed it.
Reverse it. Mm-hmm,
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the quiz for Walter Elias Disney's birthday, Kale, is do you know where he was born? What city was he born in?
Oh, gosh.
It's not the one you think it is. I'll give you a hint.
Oh, okay. Give me a hint.
Well, that's the hint.
I know, but give me, give me, if it's not the one I think it is, then I don't know.
Well, it's not the main town that he was known for, that Main Street is built upon, basically, in Disneyland. So it's not that city. He just grew up there. He wasn't born there in Marceline.
Okay. He was Scranton, Pennsylvania.
So not the right answer, but he was born in Chicago. Walt's from Chicago, you know?
That I never in a billion years would have guessed Chicago. Like, I might would have guessed Chicago as a joke, and then you would have been like, correct. I'm not kidding. I would never have thought he was born in Chicago. That's hilarious.
Born in Chicago, yeah. I think he coined the phrase, I'm from Chicago. I think he coined that.
He did. He said, I am from Chicago. That's what he said, yeah. He said, I do not need to fix my mug. How I have no class, no manners. Yeah.
Why is that full thing the full monologues in your head?
Everything anybody has ever said is fully in my head. You don't understand how it works.
Oh, that's right. You do have kind of a what's it called? A photographic memory, but it's for like things people
audio
say.
stuff. Yes, you're exactly right. And it's also, I know we're getting off topic, but it's also not, if I'm consciously trying to remember it, not a chance. But if I hear it like in passing or like peripheral hearing, it's in me forever. Like it's not leaving or going anywhere. The best thing I could do like during college was like sort of zone out during a lecture. I was going to remember everything you said, but if I took notes, gone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have to take like shorthand notes, otherwise I will not. I have a horrific memery. So
really, I feel like I did not know that about you. I feel like history would prove otherwise.
I use little cheats though. Like I do. I think I learned it from Allison Janney. I'd not like she didn't tell me personally, obviously, but a trick she does is like when you're memorizing. She texted me and she was like, "Here's an idea. Is you write down the first letter of every word in a monologue instead of the word, and that gets it into your memory better. So like you just have little codes basically that you're
how smart.
It's it takes forever to do, but once you do it, you're like, this is in my mind for the rest of my life. It's crazy.
Yeah. Typically, like, so when it came to like memorizing like music or like monologues, a lot of times I would like record myself saying the monologue, like just reading it off the sheet of paper, and then if I listened to it once or twice,
so you could hear it. Yeah,
I was fine. Yeah, it's all I can't. If I read it, it's gone. Like if I try to memorize it, it's gone. But if I can hear it, it's solid.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, moving on from that. That was a 5-minute monologue about memorization.
It was.
Okay.
Sorry.
Now our last
monologue about monologue.
A monologue about monologue. Our last This Week in Disney History. Kale, are you ready?
Yes.
Grapes. On December 4th, 1958, so 65 years ago, Broadway and screen actor Steve Blanchard was born in York, Pennsylvania. Now, his most prominent credit on Broadway is playing this character, Kale, in this musical for 8 consecutive years, the longest anyone has ever played this part, which he did until the show closed in 2007. Do you know the role and the show?
Oh gosh, Steve Blanchard. Closed in 2007. 8 years. He played blank and blank. No clue.
Well, let's narrow it down. There's not a lot of Disney musicals that are out there. Just name one. And you're probably right.
A Disney musical that closed in 2007.
Oh, I should have. I guess I assume that you would have known that because we're on a Disney podcast, Kale. But clearly, I need to be more specific with you.
So then that would have been. It would have been. I'm gonna assume he would have played, The Beast and Beauty and the Beast.
Ding, ding, ding! The Beast and Beauty and the Beast. Well done. 8 years. Can you imagine playing 8 years the same role on Broadway? That's a long time.
The Beast is the easiest role in history. I'm not trying to be. I love the Beauty and the Beast musical, but the Beast has. Yeah. I mean, that's the easiest job in the world.
Yeah, he's not doing a lot of lifting in that show, but a couple of hard to sing songs that I would never want to attempt. But fun fact, he also played Gaston before he played the Beast, so technically he was in the show for more than 8 years.
But Gaston has his work cut out for him. The song "Me," that is a very difficult song to sing.
And it's a tough part to play too. Like,
it's a very tough part to play.
Being a likable villain in a show, because like the villain is usually really fun to play, but also to make him likable as well is a hard job. But
yeah.
There you go. Well done. Happy birthday, Steve Blanchard and Walt Disney.
Walt Disney. I am from Chicago.
He's from Chicago. You know who's not going to be happy about our news stories coming up? Walt Disney. He is not going to be pleased.
He sure is not. Are we ready to get into the news?
Let's try it. Let's see what happens.
News. Talking about news.
Oh boy, Kale, we have got some news stories today that are controversial, and I'm excited to know your take on them as well.
Oh, yeah? Nice. News. Nice. Talking about news.
You already did that, though, because we just
I know. I'll do it again.
Great.
And I will do it again.
I'm from Chicago. Yeah. I'll do it again. All right. Let's get into the first one. Are you ready? This is a weird story, and I don't know how I feel about it.
It is super weird. Yeah.
Okay, so as many of you know, the World Showcase pavilions in Epcot, they're traditionally, I can't even speak today, populated by international cast members. At least they always have been, as part of the Disney Cultural Representative Program, which was unfortunately suspended in 2020 due to COVID-19. So they couldn't get cultural representatives, and so they instead were cast by people who lived here, who were Americans, or had green cards and were living here. And so some of them may still have been culturally representatives, but weren't fully staffed generally by, for instance, in Italy, you would have a lot of people from Italy working the booths and working the restaurants, etc. Okay, so 2022 happened. Pandemic happened. Most of those workers, unfortunately, were sent home and replaced by American workers. So, according to Court Watch, Patina, which is the company that staffs most of those places within the World Showcase, hired 2 people. Diana Cosme.
I believe so.
And Timothy Gocklin. They were hired in 2022 to work in Italy, the Italy Pavilion, which is home to Tutto Italia, Via Napoli restaurants, etc. So this year, those 2 individuals were laid off and then replaced with Italian cast members who these 2 had to train in as well. So the international employees were sponsored by the Cultural Representative Program, and so they're basically phasing the program back into Epcot and replacing a lot of the American workers with the people from the actual countries that they are representing. Okay. Everyone with me so far? Okay, so
yes,
Cosme and Gocklin are now suing both Disney Parks and Patina in the Middle District of Florida's Orlando division. They are seeking back pay, punitive damages, and other compensation. Disney and Patina have declined so far to comment on the Court Watch story, but they have submitted a motion to dismiss the lawsuit this September. Or next September, I guess. Or did they submit it this past September? I don't even know. I should probably know that.
I think it was this past September they submitted.
Got it. They submitted it, but nothing has happened yet. Got it.
Right. And so I kind of think based off of like what I read, I think it's still sort of going forward because they're not willing to dismiss the lawsuit.
Got it. Okay. Thoughts on this story? It's a doozy.
It is a doozy because it's like it's one of those things where I'm very, very glad that Patina and Disney are bringing the cultural representation back into Epcot, right?
Yes,
like I
absolutely.
think that was always the intention. It was always the plan. I think that even if I was one of these employees that had been hired temporarily, it would have been quite aware to me that I was there temporarily until things had opened back up. And so I'm not saying that they were not smart. I'm saying that I feel like I would have just kind of known that. However, at the same time, I think a layoff might be unnecessary. Maybe like different placement of those employees.
Yeah.
I mean, the Disney parks are always hiring. And so I know that there's some place for these employees to go. Part of me feels as though, and this is not because you know that I will call out Disney whenever I see wrongdoing. I feel like there's a key detail missing that we're not being told. Do you know what I mean? Like part of me wonders if they were potentially, and if any of you at home do know, please write in and let us know. But it makes me wonder, were they probably offered a different placement elsewhere and did not want to, and therefore Disney was like, well, this is then this is a layoff. Do you know what I mean? But it is a lot. But I do have to say that I think, even though it's sad, I don't like it when anybody loses a job. It's absolutely terrifying. It's very, very sad. But at the same time, I think that it's World Showcase, and this is what's always made it special. It's what's always made it a memorable experience to walk through. It's what it's all about, right? And I have to support that, you know? I have to support Disney bringing back these employees for the sake of cultural representation.
Yeah, I fully agree with all of that. I think we just need more information. Like you said, like
we do.
Were they offered a job somewhere else? If not, then that seems sad. But yeah, I can see their side, though, in that, I mean, I hate saying this is like a white person, an American, but like, you know, if you can't really fire someone because they're not the right culture or the right background or the right race or the right whatever.
Correct.
So
You're correct.
I can see how that's a no. You shouldn't ever do that.
Oh, totally.
So yeah,
I completely agree.
Yeah, more information needs to happen.
It's hard for me to believe that this was a situation where they were not told that this was a temporary placement. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
And it's also tough because, I mean, technically, I'm guessing Disney didn't hire them. The Patina restaurant group hired them, so they're not even maybe technically employees of Disney. I don't know. And let's be very clear.
I also don't know how that works, to be honest.
Same. And to be clear, you know, let's not sugarcoat it. Disney has been in the news a lot for not being the best sometimes to their employees. Like, it's just it's a thing.
Correct.
You know, they're not the best of the best of treating people correctly, and you know that's a problem that needs to be fixed. So, anyways, more to come. I'm actually kind of interested in following this story and seeing where it goes.
Same. We will give updates.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to our other controversial news story, Kale.
Absolutely. Disney CEO Bob Iger says companies' movies have been too focused on messaging. In an interview with the New York Times columnist Andrew Ross Sorkin, Iger was asked about Disney's quote-unquote wokeness. This is actually a perfect news story for the overall topic of today's episode.
I know. It's not lost on me. Not lost on me.
I know. In an official statement, Iger said creators lost sight of what their number one objective needed to be. Iger said at the Dealbook Summit in New York on Wednesday, "We have to entertain first. It's not about messages." Iger has recently pushed to improve the quality of Disney films in 2024 and beyond. He is cutting back the number of movies Disney makes to focus on making better films. Earlier this week, he told Disney employees at a town hall that creating hit movies is the best way the company can change perception for investors and employees. I have to agree. I am a little bit surprised that it took them this long to catch up, you know?
I mean, shouldn't we all be focused on making really good movies? You know, I don't know. But it seems like a no-brainer.
No, completely. And we'll get into that. Yeah, let me, I'll finish a little bit more and then, because there is a lot to say.
There's a lot,
Iger said Disney's prioritization of messaging over storytelling peaked while he was gone. in 2022, alluding to the 11 months he left his job at as Disney's executive chairman. Iger has been in charge of creative endeavors in 2020 and 2021, even while Bob Chapek ran the company as CEO. We've entertained with values and with having a positive impact on the world in many different ways. Black Panther is a great example of that, Iger said. I like being able to entertain if you can infuse it with positive messages and have a good impact on the world. Fantastic, but that should not be the objective. When I came back, what I really have tried to do is return to our roots.
Such an interesting way to put things. So, like, to circle back to why he was saying all this stuff, he was asked directly, basically, about Disney and their wokeness in movies recently, and how they've been very message forward and have had some empowerment stories behind them. And he responded what you just said, basically saying, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't be focusing on that as much as focusing on just doing really good work, basically.
Yes.
Where are you on this? How do you are you backing him up on this, or are you confused by it?
Well, here's the thing. I think that there's room for both of those things. I don't necessarily consider a lot of these films. I mean, and I know that Iger himself is not referring to the films as woke, right? That is a question he was asked, was
Correct.
about the quote unquote wokeness. But I think that there's room for both of those things. I will say that I think I definitely agree with the quality over quantity. It seems like, specifically from really since like the pandemic started, it seemed like we were hit with a movie every couple months, and it was just sort of not a horrible movie, not amazing, not a horrible movie, not amazing. Do you get what I'm saying? And and I understand also the concept of the messaging. I think what's so great about past Disney films is the messaging is just right there in the story, and you kind of take it away. It doesn't have to be in your face. That's the power of the metaphor, right? It doesn't mean that I don't think they're important. Elemental, amazing metaphor, amazing messaging for a film, right? But I feel like even that is overshadowed by the fact that there's just so much content coming out. It's like I can't even keep up with Disney Plus anymore. Do you know what I mean? Of like what's new, what's like it feels hard. And so I actually agree. In my opinion, and I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with this, I would say if we get one really good Disney movie a year, and that's the only movie Disney gives us a year, I consider that a success. Don't give me 10 that I probably won't watch again, even if I liked them. Do you get what I'm saying?
100%, yeah. I don't have any problems with like cutting back on how many movies they make. I think where I dig my heels in a little bit is him. It almost sounds like he's both sidesing this a little bit, of like there's good people on both sides, and it's like I don't know. It feels like he's defending.
It does.
It sounds like he's defending the fact that we shouldn't be putting out gay content or women empowerment content or minority empowerment. It sounds like he's trying to appease both sides, and I don't love that. I think it's like no, sir,
you're absolutely correct.
This is Disney. Like the quote from Walt Disney that it's the top of our show is, to all who come to this happy place, welcome. So you should be creating content that is inclusive of everybody and showing stories for everybody. And so I don't like that he's not defending that. It's, you know what I mean? It puts a little bit of a question mark behind what is he doing here with that statement. Is he?
I will completely agree with you there. I do think that here's kind of where I stand on that. There's only so much more I can take of us being secondary characters and there being a single kiss or a single handhold.
Right, yeah.
I'm being serious. Eventually it's going to get... I'm not a secondary character, okay? These eyebrows, they're not a backup dancer. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like, at some point, like you have to either full-blown do the message, right? Yeah. Give me Pixar's Rainbow. Do you get what I'm saying? Like something. But it's like I there's only so much more I can take of like seeing us like very hinted at the fact that we're sort of in existence in the Disney universe. It's becoming frustrating.
Right.
But I think that I don't know if that's their way of sort of teetering the line, because they know that obviously a storyline with a in a major feature film, right? Of a gay prince or a gay princess. That's going to cause a lot of backlash. But I'm ready for it.
100%.
Anyone.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it. Yeah. He's playing it safe, and that's what I don't love right now. It sounds like they're getting ready to put themselves more in the middle because of all the lawsuits that are happening right now, and saying, we're not actually that liberal. We just want to be able to speak our mind and not be reprimanded for it, which I get. But it's like, no, don't. I don't know. Stop putting us back in the closet. Like, don't pretend that we're standing behind you when you need us to stand in front of you and with you.
No, I will completely agree. It also, when you read his quotes, the thing that he says about messaging and messages, he never really talks about he never really goes into great detail about what he's talking about. And so even his quotes in the interview, it seems like it was very carefully orchestrated to where he did not say too much on this side or too much on the other side. Right. And so who knows? Maybe his idea of messaging is vastly different from your and our idea of messaging, but I do not think so.
No, I can agree that we shouldn't necessarily be making films that are starting out with a message and then making a film behind it. It's just make a good film that just has characters that are gay, that are strong women, that are empowered, as opposed to making a message film. I can see that side of it, but they're just they're in such a precarious place right now. It's just stand up or don't be there. If you're going to be with us, be with us. Otherwise, get out of the way, because we're going to move mountains. I don't know.
No, that's how I feel too. But I will say, it gets. I mean, the first couple of times that we were featured in a Disney movie, and there was the Lightyear kiss and the little nod to LeFou's character in Beauty and the Beast, right? Who was famously always sort of a LGBTQ plus icon. It's sort of I'm getting a little bit tired of that. I'm getting tired of being the niche selling point in a film. Look at the good we do. Do you know what I mean? And then whatever.
Well, I want to know what our tweedles think about this as well. Are we
right? And tell us who's right. Us.
Who's correct.
Yeah.
Who's from Chicago in this story?
Yes. Let us know. So, Tweedles, PK and I often have very riveting conversations during our short recording breaks, and we were wondering where the phrases clean as a whistle and dead as a doorknob came from, because they don't make any sense. Patrick says that a whistle would be disgusting because it's full of bacteria and saliva. So let us know. Do your research so we don't have to.
Yeah, we need to know. And dead as a doorknob, I don't understand dead as a doorknob. A doorknob was never alive to be dead.
It was never, it was never alive.
Unless it's the one from Alice in Wonderland, I guess. Then yes, very much alive. Not dead, though. So we have questions. Let us know.
We have questions. We do. Yes, please let us know. Patrick.
Yes, Kale.
Today, we are doing a spoiler-free review of Disney's
Wish. I thought you were going to say it with me. You didn't say it with me. You just let me say Wish like a weirdo.
Here we go. Patrick, today we are doing a spoiler-free review of Disney's Wish. Okay. We will practice.
I wish we were better at this.
Right. Yeah. Yes. So sorry. But yes, Disney's Wish.
I'm very excited to talk about this because boy, oh boy, are people torn on this movie. There is not a consensus about this movie.
Yes, no, there is not.
Boy.
There is not.
Oh boy.
Okay, are we ready to sort of dive in a little?
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about some brief history, and then we'll talk about our feelings, and then we'll talk about the cast and crew, as per usual. And we'll try our best, Tweedles out there, not like as Kale said, not to do any spoilers. We're going to talk about some of the things that are in the movie that you probably already heard of.
Yeah.
So if you want to know nothing about this movie, then I recommend probably don't listen until you've watched the movie and come back to us.
And quite frankly, according to data and numbers, if you haven't seen it, you're not going to.
Yeah, you're probably. No, I don't know. Here's the thing, though. This movie is not getting great reviews yet, but like this has happened with Elemental as well, where it was
sure
a sleeper hit.
Yeah,
it went from 0 to like the most successful. So time will tell.
You're correct, and I think that was because of us.
It was because
so
of
here
us.
we go. We're about to Disney, get ready for your next billion.
Yes.
Okay, so brief history. Development on Disney's Wish began in 2018, but it wasn't publicly announced until January of 2022 when it was revealed that Jennifer Lee was writing an original Disney film, which was officially announced along with the title in September 2022 at the D23 Expo, which you were at.
I was there. I was not there for this portion of it, so I did not get to see them announce this. But it was
never mind.
Very much. It was. I mean, I was at the expo, but I wasn't in this portion of it. But it was very much the buzz. People were talking about this movie at the D20 Expo, and I have to say, I'm obsessed with Jennifer Lee. We need to have her on the show. She's amazing.
Yes, and let me tell you this. I know this is super off topic, but let me tell you one of the coolest things I've ever watched was when Disney Plus first came out. They released that docuseries on the making of Frozen 2. I fell in love with her. Same.
Yes.
It was so good. To me, that could have been 10 episodes longer, and I would have watched every single one of them in a day.
Yeah.
That was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
So a brief plot, courtesy of IMBD.
IMDb,
Wish follows a
BD.
young girl. What did I just say?
You said I am BD, but that's okay.
I'm BD. I am Betty Davis's daughter.
There it is. I like it.
That's what I was saying. Thank you very much. Sorry that you did it. Okay.
I appreciate it.
Sorry. Gosh. Wow. Wish follows a young girl named... Can I tell them the brief plot? Gosh.
Briefly, you can tell them the plot.
Yes. Wish follows a young girl named Asha who wishes on a star and gets a more direct answer than she bargained for when a troublemaking star comes down from the sky to join her. Marketed as the origin story for Disney's Wishing Star.
Aw, I love that.
I do too.
So going into this movie, we knew very little, right? Like even from all of the previews that came out and the posters and the renderings, we knew who was in this in the movie.
Right.
Kind of. I actually didn't know everybody who was in this movie. So I had no expectations really going into the movie other than I really wanted it to be good because this was, a landmark movie for Disney. It's the last one in their 100th year. It's, so a lot was riding on this movie. After having seen the movie, Kale, initially, what were your thoughts? Were you surprised? Were you pleased? Were you let down? What were your just a brief thought on it?
Yeah, so I went and saw I went and saw this movie with the Steamboat Willies, Mark and Roger, right?
Yes.
And I think that all three of us were pretty surprised, in large part because typically when a movie is pretty polarizing, reception-wise, a lot of times I can walk away from it and sort of understand why it was polarizing. Does that make sense? Even if I don't necessarily agree with it, I can typically walk away and understand, okay, like I get how this wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea. I would say that I was pleasantly surprised. It is shocking to me that this is such a polarizing film because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought that it was a perfect nod to Disney's past. It looks like it's definitely a trajectory towards the future. I mean, I think that all of the elements were there that were needed to make a good classic Disney film. I will say I was a fan of the animation style when I saw the trailer. Seeing it in a big screen movie theater, it did take me about 10 minutes to kind of adjust to it. I don't know if that sounds insane, but there was about 10 minutes where I was kind of like, oh man, I don't know if if this is gonna grow on me. And then it did, and I was fine. Like that was really the only like concern I had sitting down and watching the film. But truth be told, I don't have any notes. I thought that this was a very, very well done film. It was the perfect length. I am not a fan of a 2.5, 3 hour movie. You know what I mean? This was like a solid 90 minutes. Like I mean, to me, walking away from this, I was very, very satisfied.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm kind of the same for me. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I'm not necessarily putting it in like my top 5 yet. Yeah. Though. I think I need to watch it again. For sure. But I really liked it. I guess I can understand some of the criticism behind it. I do. Here's what I'll say. I think it needed like one more read through to bake it a little bit more. The story, I loved the plot line. I loved the elements behind it. The animation I thought was great too. We can talk about that a little bit later. I loved all of the actors. I just feel like some of the writing was a scotch clumsy, if that makes sense. Like there was a lot of elements that they were hitting me over the head too much with, hey, this is Bambi, this is Peter Pan, this is so-and-so. These characters, whereas I wish that they had just very subtly let me discover what storylines were which characters from Disney's past. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying completely. The way that I sort of looked at this, though, was that this was the origin story for every sort of Disney universe we've seen.
100%.
So to me, it did not, like, I was actually it actually was kind of like comforting that it was so in your face because you weren't sort of left wondering. But I understand that opinion of yours is also very fair because that's the Disney way. Famously, we get these, like a lot of people talk about the Easter eggs in this film. They weren't Easter eggs. These were full on. Do you know what I mean? Like Easter egg is the wrong word to use. I mean, we saw a literal Peter Pan, and do you get what I'm saying? Like it was I kind of enjoyed that it was a little bit more in your face than.
Got it.
Yeah, but I understand like the. I guess the sort of wishing it was just sort of a nice tease or a nice Easter egg, and you were sort of left up
just a little bit. Let me discover it. Like, okay, so here's a little bit of a spoiler. So there are 7 friends in the movie, right? And it takes you a hot second, but you kind of discover that these are representatives of the 7 dwarfs from Snow White, and they did a great job of doing that until at the end they started saying, I'm grumpy and I'm so sneezy, right? It's like, okay, you don't need to tell me that you're grumpy. Like, we discovered this already. I don't know that you need to hit me on the head with that by literally saying what your character's name is from Snow White. Does that make sense? That's what I mean by I didn't enjoy that part of it.
It completely makes sense. This is just a difference of opinion. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Fair.
But I actually did enjoy that because the moment that it hit me it literally hit me like all of them in my head at once. Like, oh, these are the 7 dwarves. Like that one's very happy. This one's you know. Yep. And so then it was sort of like them saying it at the end. You were just sort of like confirmation. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
But also you're correct in the senses that's not what we're used to. We're very used to these Easter eggs. We're very used to sort of being teased to where we're left up to our own imagination. Do you know what I mean? We're used to seeing like the Pixar ball randomly in the corner of a bedroom, and then we understand that. Yeah. And so it's kind of I get that would be like a sort of, I guess, like a. What am I trying to say? I guess that I would understand how the lack of that and it being so front facing, like very in your face, that was just like a change. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. But all that being said, I really did love this movie. I thought, like you said, it was a really good look into what the future of storytelling will look like for Disney.
Yes.
And when I say look like, I mean now they have no choice but to be diverse AF in every single movie going forward, because they've now established a movie that is supposed to be the origin story of all Disney movies that is the most diverse cast we've ever seen, really, in a Disney movie. So
absolutely.
I'm excited, and I hope that that's the direction they're going in. Anyways, that they're like putting a sword in the stone, basically, and saying this is how it's going to be going forward.
No, I completely agree, and it's you know, Please stop me if I'm getting us completely in the weeds before we even really get into this.
No,
film too much.
there's a lot to dissect about this movie, so I think
there's a lot of conversations that us as Disney people have, right? And a lot of them are, keep in mind, Little Mermaid was an exception to me because the original Little Mermaid was such a huge part of my childhood and even who I am as an adult, if you can even call me an adult, but and so the Little Mermaid live action, I was prepared for that and ready and wanted it and would have waited 10 years for it if they would have announced that it was going to take 10 more years. Do you know what I mean? And it was, in every sense, to me, a perfect film. Halle Bailey was amazing. I also, having said that, I also am not a diehard fan of all the live action remakes. I feel like they need to pump their brakes, right? We don't have to get into this too much, but part of me wishes the entire idea of the live action Snow White, they just need to scrap it and call their losses because I do not see a situation where this works out in their favor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I get that, the alternative to that is, we want them to make original stories, right? And I am all for that. I am completely for, let's tone down the sequels, even though there's a lot of sequels about to come up that I'm super excited about. Let's tone down the live actions. Let's go back to these classic animation stories that resonate with us and are important to children and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I find it difficult to say we want more original stories, and then when they come out with original stories, us say no, not this one, and do you know what I mean? And so I there's a lot of the backlash. I guess I don't, or I shouldn't say backlash. It's not getting hate, right? It's just there's a lot of people who do not necessarily think that this was Disney's best work. It wasn't. Right. But I do think that it was an incredible film. And I think that it sort of, it takes us to a point where, it was unique storytelling. They opened up a lot of doors for a lot of different things going forward, which is sort of what we wanted. And so I guess what I'm trying to get to by saying all of this is I think that it's a little difficult for us to want diversity and inclusion and new, unique stories and then get mad when that happens.
Yeah, I totally understand. I think where you're going with this too is there's been a lot of, you kind of already said, people saying, the same people who say they want original movies and then comparing this movie to it's not as Moana-esque as I wanted. It's not this. It's not this. And it's you're right. It's not that. It's an original movie. A lot of the songs are I wish it was more Broadway songs like a Beauty and the Beast style. Da, da, da. It's I get that. But here's where it's that's an opinion. Does that mean that you didn't like the movie, or it's just not your style of a movie? Can you actually say this was a badly written, badly designed, badly sung movie, or are you saying it's just not my cup of tea? Which is fine. Every Disney movie can't be your favorite Disney movie, right? There has to be a clunker in there somewhere for you. And so if this is that clunker for you, that's totally fine. I would go to bat and say that you can't tell me, then this is a really strong opinion, that this was a badly done movie.
No,
does that make sense?
Yes. No, completely. Well, and even some of the, my Instagram has been full of it as of late, right? Sort of people reviewing this movie. And there's been a lot of people who I've seen that have thoroughly enjoyed this. They think it's great. They're really, they sort of feel like Disney is kind of back on track with storytelling. And then there are people who I've seen both comments made of, Disney's sticking to the same old formula. And then also, Disney's straying from the formula. Why would they do that?
I know.
And it's
silly,
sort of I don't,
Yeah.
But I thought this was a very, very, very well done film. And like you just said, I think I've established on the podcast that I'm not the biggest Marvel fan, right? It's not something that I would sit down and just willingly put on myself and watch and go through. However, I've never watched one and walked away and said that was a terrible movie. I get it. They're very well done. They have amazing people in them, amazing CGI and action sequences. It's just not my cup of tea. That's it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
so I think that sometimes people forget that not everything is made for you specifically.
Well, and you and I talked about this like off camera, I almost said, but off the podcast too, a little bit of Disney's in such a hard place. And it sounds like we're like defending Disney, every Disney movie. We have many Disney movies that we don't like. But Disney's
for sure.
Disney's in a hard spot in that they get compared to themselves all the time because Disney is its own entity, basically, of movies, and not every movie is going to be the same. But you can't want them to all be the same as well. Like you would never, for example, like go to, I'm making it up, Paramount to be like, I'm going to compare Terminator 2 to Beaches, like just because they're under the same movie company.
Completely.
It's like you would never. So why would you compare one Disney movie to another if they're all supposed to be different story? I don't know. Where I'm going is, I love that there's so much conversation happening around this movie,
Same.
but my haunches get up a little bit when people say that it's a terrible movie. It's not a terrible movie. I don't know. I will defend the fact that it is not a bad movie. I actually really love this movie. So
yes, very much so. I agree.
We're talking in circles, and our tweedles have stopped listening and been like, "Well, why are they?"
Yeah.
saying
I
the
also
same thing
have
over
to
and
say
over
that
again?
I also have to say though, and this is just the truth. This isn't necessarily talking about reviews. Now I'm talking more so of like the financial and the box office of it all, because that's been disappointing so far, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you that, I mean, prior to March of 2020, I mean, the last movie that I saw in theaters was Onward, right? And then for nothing for what, 2 years probably. I can tell you that I think a lot of us, even though, we do go to the movies, it's not as often as we used to go. Part of me I'm one of those people that got insanely used to being at home, and I just like being at home, darn it. And, it's not a secret anymore that like every movie that comes out, we're going to find it on some streaming service within a couple of months. Like, we're no longer in the days of when a movie opened in theaters, your next opportunity to watch it was a year later when it came out on DVD, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that there has to be a sense of patience. I do not think that the cinema is dead. I don't think that going to the movies is dead. I think that people are still very traumatized and became used to I mean, we haven't even really looked into what the long-term effects of the pandemic mentally took on people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being completely serious. And so I think that there just has to be a sense of patience. I understand that making $50 million when you were expected to make $100 million the opening weekend. I get that that's a really big wah-wah, but I think that there just has to be a sense of patience. And I also I stand by the fact that just because a lot of people aren't going to see a movie, that says nothing about the quality of a movie.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you can't judge a movie by its box office anymore because everything you just said. Okay, so here we are, 20 minutes in, and we've barely talked about the movie itself.
Sorry.
No, this is great. This is a great conversation.
We hope you guys enjoyed this spoiler-free review.
And we're done. No, and so, okay, so let's talk about now the cast and the crew behind the movie. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's do that.
So, Wish was directed by Chris Buck. We know him from Frozen 2, and Tarzan.
Yes, indeed.
Fawn Veerasunthorn, who is a first-time director known for work in the animation department of Raya and the Last Dragon, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Zootopia, Moana, and Frozen. We're seeing a pattern here.
We are seeing a
pattern.
Yeah. I like that Disney does this, by the way.
Same.
They have a established director, someone who has done a lot of, and then like they bring on somebody who is they trust to be the next big director for Disney.
Oh, completely. I also love famously how they pair groups together because they know, like, for example, like Ron Clements and John Musker, how a lot of times they were sort of like producing partners or directing partners, and I love Ollie and Frank and Ollie, who always did, like, I love, that's my favorite. It's cool to me to think that like these people one day will be on like that history level. Do you know what I mean?
For sure. Absolutely.
So writing and the screenplay done by Jennifer Lee, who we are diehard fans of, as we've said.
Yes, we stan.
Who we know from Frozen 2, A Wrinkle in Time, Zootopia, Frozen, and Wreck-It Ralph. And Allison Moore, who is a television writer of Incorporated, Falling Water, Manhunt, and Night Sky.
Yeah. So again, the two main writers, Jennifer Lee, very established, and then Alice Moore, not quite as established, hasn't really written anything for movies before. So it's so fun to see.
I think
sort
so
of
too.
the grooming that happens within the Disney company when it comes to their writers and directors.
Completely. The score, done by Dave Metzger, we know him from Disenchanted, WandaVision, Frozen 2, The Lion King, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Moana, Ant-Man, Muppets Most Wanted, Frozen, Wreck-It Ralph, and The Avengers. So he's fairly new.
Yeah, just a brand new, and that's just a short list of all the things that he's done for Disney, and for it's crazy. It's crazy.
And we have original songs by Julia Michaels, who has written songs for Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez, Dua Lipa, Janelle Monáe, Shawn Mendes, Pink, Ed Sheeran, Britney Spears, and Gwen Stefani. Maybe one day she'll have a hit.
Yeah, sometime. It's going to happen.
Right. Maybe we'll hear one of her songs one day.
Who knows? Who knows?
And then we also have Benjamin Rice, who produced songs for Lady Gaga, Nick Jonas, Robin Thicke, and John Legend.
So here's where I want to talk a little bit about the songs in the movie. So the score was incredible. I loved the score, but we have to disassociate the score from the music now as well. The original songs, I mean, which they both paired quite well together. I didn't think that they would at first when I was like, oh, Julia Michaels, she's more of a pop artist. And then we have Dave Metzger, who's more of a classically trained scorer
completely.
of films.
Yeah.
What an interesting juxtaposition. And I thought they worked really well together.
Oh, very much so. I thought so too. But I agree with what you're saying. Like to put these people together, I mean it
seems
probably
odd.
Think the same thing about you and I.
100%. But now let's talk about the songs themselves, the original songs from the film. So we get 7 new songs. Welcome to Rosas, At All Costs, This Wish, I'm a Star, This Is the Thanks I Get, Knowing What I Know Now, and A Wish Worth Making, which was the end title song sung by Julia Michaels herself. What were your thoughts on these original songs? I don't know, do you want to talk about them collectively, like just as a packet of songs that were in the movie?
Sure. So do you want to start by saying one that spoke to you specifically?
Oh, sure. I mean, let's see, how do I choose one? Because the more I listen to the songs, the more I like them. I'll start by saying that. I think that a lot of people need more time with the songs. I actually really loved, what spoke to me, I guess, is This Wish. I thought it was an amazing song. And
amazing song.
Ariana DeBose did such an incredible job with it. It was...
Oh, very much so, yes.
Fantastic. Made me cry during it. It was wonderful. And then when the reprise of it was so powerful as well, I thought, at the end of the movie. But I actually really liked This Is the Thanks I Get. I thought that was killer song. I was into it.
That was my favorite one, and let me tell you why. We finally saw the resurgence of the actual Disney villain. Do you know what I mean? Like we 100%. saw the Disney villain have the song where it's just relentlessly evil. Like it was, I was so here for, and it was a killer song. Like it wasn't just a moment.
It was great song. Chris Pine did a great job with it. Also, it sort of gave you it rolled that fun line. You know how we talk a lot about, I don't need an origin story if it's just going to be a good guy turning into a bad guy. Like we don't really need it. But they did a really good job, I thought, specifically with this song, of giving a little bit of empathy to the villain of like, you're not wrong in that. You're trying to do a good job and you're not getting the thanks that you want to get, but you're coming about it in a wrong way, if that makes
very much
sense.
So.
Like it was a great way to tell the story of the villain.
Very much so. And I also think that there was, and again, I hope this isn't too much of a spoiler, I really liked that they didn't go the route of everybody's redeemable. It was clear this person was beyond being able to be redeemed. He had he had reached the point of no return and was just a full-blown villain, and I love that.
I thought it was great.
I very much so. But I will say, and this is actually rare for me, there wasn't a song really in this film that I would take out or replace. I think that every single one of them were very, very good. Even as much as I loved live action Little Mermaid, it was sort of, I could do without Scuttlebutt all day long. Like I mean, but this was it, and that's rare for me. Typically there's always like one or two songs where I'm like, I don't really need it. No, this was, I think, a perfect melding of songs with the story, and all of them done very, very well.
I would agree with that. I will say this about the songs. I liked them all. I will say I'm a Star took me a hot second to get into. I was like, do I like this or not? This is because it's a wild song and it's a wild scene in the movie where you're just like, what is happening to me? I turned to Dan during the movie and I was like, did I take acid real quick before this song? Because it was wild. It was a wild song. But then the more it went, the more Disney leaned into it and they were like, we're all in on this song right now. We're all in on what we're doing. I got into it more, if that makes sense.
Oh, completely.
They didn't back down from it. They just got crazier and crazier. And I was like, okay, now I'm into it. Now this is amazing. And it was sort of like a love letter to all of the forest characters from Disney movies. It was like, we're giving them a voice now. And boy, did they have a voice. And the gay bear made me laugh so hard.
I know.
Oh my God.
Perfect.
I was into it.
It was very good.
Okay, so all that being said, now here's my critique of the songs. I thought they started clunkily, if that makes sense. Like they just sort of came out of nowhere and they start like pop songs because they are basically pop songs that have a little bit of a Disney twist to them. And I don't know that they fit as well as they wanted them to fit, if that makes sense. It sort of took a different direction in the movie a little bit for me because they were so poppy. I still loved them, but it was almost too hard of a turn for me from the classic Disney storytelling into a pop song, if that makes sense.
Okay. No, I think that's very, very fair. Because when I tried to, my rebuttal to that was about to be, but that's sort of what they've been moving towards for years. But but this was truly told, in my opinion, in the style of a very old classic Disney movie, and so I understand how there could be like a sort of. Like a lost in translation sort of.
Yeah, it was just sort of a too quick of a pivot from like this really beautiful scene. All of a sudden, they're like doing runs or something, vocal runs. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if that works.
That's fair. That's very fair.
So that's just my opinion. But that being said, I still love all the songs and I listen to them now. It did take me a minute. Like a lot of the critiques, I shouldn't have listened to any critiques before I went to the movie because a lot of the critiques are like, there's no song that really stands out. And I have to fully disagree with that. But
completely.
But I disagree with it more now that I've heard the songs on their own. When I took them out of the movie, I was like, oh, I actually really love it. It's really well written. It's really well performed. The musical underscoring is amazing. The drums that hit in Knowing What I Know Now are so good.
Gosh, I know.
Just a banger of a song. Knowing What
I Know
Now.
Good.
It's
but
amazing.
This was, I would say the highlight of all the music to me was truly the resurgence of the classic Disney villain, where we just we just got an evil SOB, and it's
and they gave us sort of just a hint of the villain origin story as well, but not enough that you are like, oh, I do like him, he's a good person. It's like, no, he's not a good person.
Nope.
And he doesn't have to be, and that's what's great about it. And then knowing the character that he turns into is so fun as well. I love that little nod to Snow White. It wasn't even a little nod. It was a huge.
It was a huge nod.
Hit you in the face. Yeah.
Right. Face that might be a hint. But
yeah, exactly. All right, so let's move on to the cast. What do you say, Kale?
I say let's do it. Do you want to read some of the cast?
I would love to because this is such a good cast. It's such a talented cast.
This is a good one.
And again, actors that you wouldn't be like, yeah, they would do well in a Disney movie being a main character, and they worked out so well. So, starting off with Ariana DeBose playing Asha, our main character, which incidentally means hope in Hindi. I love that. So most of the names mean something in different languages, which is really cool. Good job, Disney. So you know Ariana from the filming of Hamilton. She was in Hamilton for quite a while, and she's also, you can see her in the background. She's an ensemble character in Hamilton that's on Disney Plus.
Ensemble character. She's the bullet. Thank you very much.
fair
star
enough.
of the show.
You're not wrong. She was also in The Prom. She won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress in West Side Story, and I love her in Schmigadoon, both season 1 and season 2.
Yes, very much so.
So good. We also have Chris Pine playing King Magnifico. Chris Pine from a million things. You know Chris Pine from Dungeons & Dragons, Don't Worry, Darling, Wonder Woman, Star Trek, Into the Woods, and My Dreams as well. Chris Pine is in My Dreams.
Oh, So I need to know. I need everyone at home to know that was not improvised. Literally in the show notes, it says "and Patrick's dreams." So
Yeah. Yep.
well thought out.
Chris Pine is the Chris for me. That's for sure. Absolutely. Okay, so moving on, we have the incredible Alan Tudyk playing Valentino, who is Asha's friend, the goat in the movie. Alan Tudyk has voiced everything. If you've watched a cartoon, you have heard Alan Tudyk's voice. In Harley Quinn, he was in Peter Pan and Wendy, the live-action remake. He voices a character in Strange World. He was in Disenchanted, Encanto, Raya and the Last Dragon, Frozen 2, Aladdin, the live version. He voiced Iago. Ralph Breaks the Internet, Rogue One, Moana, Zootopia, Frozen, Wreck-It Ralph, and 150,000 other credits. Just an incredible, incredible character actor. And so handsome as well. Sorry to, talk about people's looks, but boy, does he look good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Kale does not agree. He took too long
I do. I agree.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so now we have Angelique Cabral playing Queen Amaya, which incidentally has many origins, her name, from Japanese to Spanish to Sanskrit, and usually the word Amaya means mother, which is very fitting for this character. Angelique Cabral was in Big Sky, Maggie Undone, Big Shot, and Life in Pieces. And then we have the incomparable Victor Garber.
Oh, my favorite.
I mean, his voice is just butter. I love listening to Victor Garber. So amazing. He plays the grandfather, Sabino, which is Italian for the word wise. Victor Garber, you know him from Argo, Alias, Legally Blonde, Titanic, Disney's live-action version of Annie, Disney's live-action version of Rogers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. I believe he was in the original cast of Godspell. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
He sure was. He absolutely was. And the film version. Yes.
And the film version, yeah. Incredible actor. We have Natasha Rothwell, who I love, playing Sakina, who is our main character's mother. She is from Insecure. She is in White Lotus, season 2, I believe, of White Lotus. Wonder Woman, 1984. She voices a character in DuckTales. She was in Love, Victor and Love, Simon. I love Natasha Rothwell. She is one of those actors who does not get enough credit for how incredible, just amazing.
I completely agree.
So good. Okay, and so now we come to the 7 friends, who, as we said before, kind of represent all of the dwarfs in Snow White. So we have Jennifer Kumiyama, who is playing Dahlia, the royal baker, kind of the main of the friends. Interesting fact, this character uses a cane to walk, and the actress herself actually is in a wheelchair. So I believe Disney sort of took that and added it into the character itself, which is cool to see. Yeah.
I think so too.
Jennifer Kumiyama got her start as a singer, fun fact, in Disneyland. She was one of the stage singers in the parks. She was also in Forever Beautiful and in Awkward. Moving on, we have Harvey Guillen, I believe is how you say his last name.
I believe so.
Who is so funny. He's in What We Do in the Shadows. He voices a character in Harley Quinn. He was in Blue Beetle, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. Very, very funny actor. We have Nico Vargas playing Hal, who's in Craig of the Creek and Monkey Wrench. Evan Peters, who I have a big crush on, playing Simon. Evan Peters played Quicksilver in all of the more recent X-Men movies. He was also in Dahmer, American Horror Story, Mayor of Easttown, and Pose. Rounding out, we have Rami Youssef playing Safi, who is in Poor Things and Mr. Robot. John Rudnitsky playing Dario, who is in Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, the cartoon. At Midnight, Catch-22, and Home Again. And then lastly, we have Della Saba playing Bazima, who was in Physical, so funny in the TV show Physical, is also in Kung Fu Panda, The Dragon Knight. So a bigger cast, I will say.
Yes.
Because we have all 7 of those friends, and then the main characters themselves, which was, for me, I have to say, I will say this, it was hard to keep track of all of the characters a little bit. They were all fleshed out, and they did a really good job, but if you asked me to name all of the names of the characters in this movie, couldn't do it.
No. I could tell you who each one of them was. I could say, like, this was her grandfather, this was her mother. But as far as like I completely agree with what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
I also don't
it's an
feel
interesting
like
thing.
Yeah, I also don't feel like they were referred to a ton by their names. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think, and part of me wonders if that was intentional. So we sort of would secretly at home refer to them as grumpy, dopey, bad. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because your mind sort of played the trick of
very much
placing
so.
this character as in a previous Disney movie, and you can absolutely do that with every single character. In the
All
movie,
of them.
cool.
Yes, completely. But I do think this was a solid cast of characters.
Everyone was so good, and some of the
Yes.
actors, they did such a good job that I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was that person.
Very much
sense.
so, yeah.
They weren't doing like impressions of themselves. They were actually doing
Right.
character work in the movie, which was so well done. Like
Very
Evan
much
Peters, I was
so.
like, Evan Peters is in this movie? Who did he play? And he was
literally
one of the main characters.
Yes, we were on the ride home, and Mark literally went, "Wait, who did Evan Peters?" Because he had looked it up on his phone, and I was like, "He wasn't in that movie." And then, sure enough, not.
Yeah.
He was kind of fairly an important role, kinda. But
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And Victor Garber, I was like, Victor Garber was the grandfather? I had no idea. I didn't, because he just did a great job of voicing that
no
character.
clue. I love Victor Garber.
He's
I
great.
love him.
He's wonderful.
If I would have been Elle Woods in Legally Blonde, the ending would have been very different.
Harass away, my friend. Harass away.
Right.
Nope,
If that's what
nope,
you want.
Not unquote. Not
I'm just
unquote.
kidding.
And
So do we?
canceled.
Yes. Do we
Absolutely.
want to get into some Tweedle reviews? Because you guys have written in and let us know what you've thought.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So
Perfect.
here's what we mean when we say that people are polarized with this movie, and our tweetles were incredibly polarized on this movie. But I picked out some of them. A lot of you sent in. People were very vocal about this. I don't even think.
Oh yes.
We did a hard ask for people to send us their opinions of the movie, but they sent in their opinions on this movie, and
They
it was
sure
wonderful to
did.
say. Wonderful to
Yes,
say.
they sure
All right,
did.
let's get into it. Go.
Okay. At Drewby Coast to Coast, who is one of my favorite people of all time. I love Drewby Coast to Coast.
He's delightful.
Yes.
Delightful.
He says, I thought it was cute. I will admit that I did not understand what it was at first. So the first 10 minutes or so, I was thinking, really? Where's the originality? Then at some point, I got it. It is a love story to all the stories of Disney, a retelling of the things we all grew up knowing, dreaming, and believing. Once I got there, I saw Wish's beauty. I think that's perfect.
That's a
Yes.
really, you should put that on IMDb of like, this is the pull quote for what this movie is about. It's really great.
Perfect.
Okay, so hard turn. We have at Mace MPS 2021 saying, I love all things Disney, but they dropped the ball on this one, 2 out of 5 at best. So again, completely opposite opinion.
Yep, absolutely. And then here we go on the seesaw. At PJW _ at _WDW _ fantastic movie. Loved all the references and Easter eggs. Beautifully animated. The music was unique, both traditional songs and unique sounds.
I mean, hard turn. Here's another turn. Ready? So at Ben.Teves saying, I think it was okay! ! Not terrible, but certainly not good either. The music was a real weak point, especially lyrically. It was just a bit of a letdown to get a parade of references in a generic plot rather than something subversive or exciting for the centennial. Interesting take. And I think that we're on the same page of it being I wish it was a little bit more subversive, the entire, like, the writing of it, if that makes sense. Totally understand.
Yes.
I totally understand that viewpoint.
Okay, well, get ready for some whiplash, because at Danko Direct, my boyfriend and I loved it. We thought it really accomplished the difficult task of being both an homage to and a unifying touch point for 100 years of Disney films.
I love it. All right. And then we have an email from Warren, who is also one of our Patreon members. Warren says, I liked it a lot. I didn't go home humming any of the music, but I will go back and listen to it some more. What I took away from it is the sense that you should never give your wishes, dreams, or goals to someone else and wait for them to make it happen for you. Not only are our wishes, dreams, and goals our own, but we have the ability inside of us to make them happen. I give it 10 stars for that theme and 7.5 overall. What a thoughtful way to
I think so
about the
too.
movie.
Very much so. Yes. You put a lot of thought, more thought than we did, I would argue. Warren, do you want a job?
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. What did you think about, because the plot seems to be a dividing point amongst our listeners,
Very
and amongst
much so.
the fans of Disney, of was it a good plot? Was it a good storyline? Was it enough for the centennial? What did you think?
I do think that it was completely appropriate and necessary for the centennial. I mean, I think that it didn't really miss the mark. I think that if it had been too grand, it would have just been, Disney has been called out for being overly ambitious these past couple of years. I think that that definitely could have been an issue.
Yeah.
And I also, we're so used now to seeing all these movies with multiverses and in different universes, and just enjoy it. Enjoy it. And enjoy the fact that, you got to see some of your childhood favorites referenced and potentially, if you want to make up in your head that this is what kickstarted it all, absolutely. That's what I've done. And so, and if not, don't watch the movie. Pretend you didn't see it. Pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I really did like the plot. I mean, not to give away too much, but it was a fun way to really dissect so you have the two main characters, right? Magnifico and Asha, with the same goal, but with different intentions behind that
Absolutely.
same goal.
Yes.
And I thought that was a really clever way and simple way to tell a story, that you can be a hero or a villain depending on which path you choose. I mean, that is the class.
Yes.
Right, that's the classic sort of Disney way of like, what path are you going to choose? What's your adventure? Where are you going to go down? And I thought they did it really successfully. It like, as you said, it wasn't overly ambitious. It wasn't ostentatious or too grand. It was just a really lovely, simple, sit down, eat some popcorn, and have a great hour and a half kind of a movie.
Absolutely, I agree. I think it was a perfect way, Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Pinocchio, Bambi. It's not Shakespeare. We're not having to, pause every scene and sort of dissect what's happening to understand what's going on. And I really, really love that this film referenced that in a very obscure way, right? This was a film that had a beginning, middle, and end. Bam. And I think that that's perfect.
Yeah, and I loved the fact that there was no love story in the movie too. Like, I'm not anti-love,
None.
but they just got away with doing but any of these characters could have been on any spectrum of the Kinsey scale. You know what I mean? It didn't matter.
Absolutely.
That was never something that needed to be addressed, other than the king and queen and their love story.
I was about to
took
say,
a turn.
We might have Disney's first divorce story.
I mean, right? It was It was really interesting. I really liked that they went down that road. I will say our villain, King Magnifico, could get it, though. I did want a love story with him, even though he's a villain.
Listen, do you want to know?
Because he's a villain.
No, do you want to know something? I kind of feel like that's what I'm going to look like when I'm older.
Way to make it about you, Kale.
I know. I was like looking at him. I was sort of looking at him, and I was like, "Is that me?" And
wow.
In 10 years, 20 years?
Well, that's our episode, everybody. Thanks for listening.
No, you're not going to comment?
I think I just did. Good for you. You know what? That is a healthy ego you have there, Kale.
Yes.
Well done.
And Patrick, you look just like that little star.
Oh, thank you. We didn't even discuss the star.
Welcome.
How did we not discuss the star? What did you think
Because
of the
nobody
star?
voiced it. Oh, I thought it was adorable. It was.
Yeah.
I thought that. Yeah, I thought. I mean, they did a good job of sort of giving it a personality. You sort of knew that it was sort of mischievous and excited, and without it having to say anything. And I thought it was adorable. They also
it was like a little puppy.
Yes. It was like a little newborn puppy. They also gave it a heart-shaped base, which was a reference to Mickey Mouse.
That is correct. Which I think that's what threw me about the star at first. For a hot second, I was like, "Why does this star look like a Mario character?" Or something?
It did. Yeah.
Right. But then it grew on me. Like, I lived with it, I was like, "Oh, I get it." Like, this is And I don't traditionally. I think I famously don't like little cute characters like that in movies. Like, these kind of bother me usually, but I really loved the star in this one.
I did too.
I might get
also,
a star plush,
I also thought the design of the star was not lost on anybody in the film, because obviously if you just saw the plush not knowing anything, or saw the character, you wouldn't necessarily even realize it was a star, right? And so at one point Asha even goes, "Oh, you're a star." Because she couldn't tell, and I kind of thought that was kind of epic, she was like, "Oh,
That's a good example of. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the writing a little bit in the script, where I almost wonder if they did test audiences, and sometimes they were like, "Oh, they're not getting it that this is a star or that these are the seven dwarfs," and so we have to tell you somewhere in the script then that this is grumpy, this is bashful, this, you know what I mean? Like, this is a star. I always felt that way, which is fine. I get it, but that's what I mean by I think it needed like one more read through or one more month to bake the script. I'll just smooth out the edges a little bit, and I think it would have been a really perfect movie. That being said, like, I still think it was an amazing movie, so don't get me wrong.
Absolutely. I do too.
These are just like little tweaks that I think that they could have made. But that's
the pod is a fan of Wish.
We are indeed. Okay, so let's get into round out our episode here by our scales, basically. So on an inclusivity scale, where would you put this, 1 through 5?
I would say 5.
Yeah, 100, I think.
Yeah,
inclusivity
like
scale.
I mean, yeah, it would have to be. Yes.
Yeah, I loved it. And then if you put it in queer culture content, where would you put this movie 1 through 5? Is this going to be somewhere in the queer vernacular?
Well, here's the deal. I mean, other than them giving us the physical appearance of King Magnifico, I don't know if it played to queer people very much. But here's the thing: I don't mind a film that doesn't play to queer people if it also doesn't actively, like, if it's not completely geared towards. And like you said, there was no romance other than the king and queen. There was essentially no romance or love, and so I kind of like that was not an issue. You could assume that anybody was one way or another. I mean, clearly Grumpy was gay, but that's just because he was grumpy. But I don't know. I don't know if that. Being completely honest, I don't know if that's a fair one to rank with this film, because I feel like it did a good job of sort of not catering to queer culture or non-queer culture.
I think that's why I would give it a 5, because it just played this excellent little ambiguous note of, like, it doesn't matter. Like, everyone gets to be who they are, and it's not a message, which I think is great. I love that, actually. And
maybe everybody is on, like, everybody on that island of Rosas was LGBTQ+, because if it gets overpopulated, it's going to capsize. You know what I mean?
It's like Deer Island, yeah.
Yeah, it would make sense to me. That, you know what? If I was on the island, that would be my wish. It would be my wish that everybody was gay.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Put it in a bubble and give it to the king. I'll give the king that wish. Absolutely, he can take that and look at it.
The king can have any bubble he wants. Sorry.
Wow. Okay, so and then overall, 1 through 5, where is this movie for you?
I'm gonna say 5.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I don't there's nothing really that I would knock it down a number. I think it 5. Why not? Well, I'm overthinking it. 5.
I'm going to say 5.
Okay, so well done. We liked this movie.
Yes, we did.
GDTD liked Wish. Tweedles, we know that you have things to say, so let us know your comments. Yes. You already have, but keep writing in. Let us know what you thought of this movie.
Let us know. Our Instagram is @JTisHere.
Yes, flood his Instagram with your comments. No, but do let us know. Let us know if we missed the mark on this one. Maybe we're delusional and we are being too nice to Disney.
What if we are totally delusional and someone sends us a picture of King Magnifico and we're like, oh, like we all of a sudden.
What if?
It's sort of like we're like,
question. What if we're delusional? What if? We know that we're delusional. That's just clear.
The next episode of GDTD is GDTD What If.
GDTD,
where we talk
how we got it wrong. Hey, Kale.
Hey, Patrick.
You're a star. When that bear said "Yas," I was like, "Oh, yeah. There we are." that was just for us.
It was just for us.
Amazing.
Yep. I shablammed. I stood up and shablammed. Yeah.
That was incredible. Incredible. Kale, are you ready for some quick tea?
I am ready for some quick tea.
Good for us. I have some quick tea questions from some of our tweedles. We're gonna do 2 of them because they're all really good this week, actually. But
I know how to play. I'm not a child, Lyle.
Okay.
Know the rules of the game?
Okay. I am. That was quick, everybody. We're done. We're done here. All right. Let's start with at Hibdonde asking this question. What is your favorite Epcot country to hang out in and not get fired from, apparently, these days?
Favorite Epcot country to hang out in?
Favorite one to hang out in? I don't really know. I feel like I spent a lot of time in Canada.
If we're talking about time spent, I would say that we typically spend a lot of time in France.
Okay.
But to be honest, I mean, my favorite hang out in, I would say that I truly love going for a festival and hitting every place. And rarely is there a place where I'm not, distracted by something and need to look at it longer, need to walk in somewhere. And so World Showcase is probably, I know I might say this too much. World Showcase might be my favorite part of any Disney park.
Yeah.
Like in general, I could do it all day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have to say France. France is probably the place I have spent the most time in.
Gotcha. I don't usually spend a lot of time in France. I don't know why. But do you know where a good spot to people watch is? If you get a little drink and then go into Japan, if you walk up the stairs where that hibachi restaurant is and turn the corner, there's like a little balcony that looks over the World Showcase, and it is the best place to people watch. It's amazing. I recommend that highly.
Also, how could we not talk about the naked man in Small World at Disneyland? This entire episode,
because we're not giving him
it.
attention. He doesn't need any more attention.
What on earth?
That was
I think he needs serious attention.
Well, yeah, he needs to seek some attention, possibly not to make light of whatever's going on there.
No, not at all. But
here's my question though: how did it get that far? Like how did they
that's my whole thing. How did he get in there? I truly don't understand. And then
because Disney be watching you. Like if you have your hand even close to the water, they will stop that ride immediately. And
Absolutely.
Say, get your hand to the boat.
Absolutely.
So how did that happen?
No,
yeah.
I completely agree. And then being in my 30s now, it's a process to take my clothes off. It takes a couple minutes because I don't want to, throw my back out or
it's a whole
catch
thing.
in my Achilles heel. It is. And so the fact that he was able to just like droot and then, my gosh.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
I have to
I know we've all thought about it. I know we've all thought about specifically in Small World, it would be hilarious. But I've never done it,
No. Yeah. There's too many bells and whistles if I'm going to take my clothes off. I have to.
There's too, and also being completely honest, too many moving parts around moving parts. You know what I mean? And so.
Yeah, good for him.
Lord forbid something get caught in an animatronic lasso. And
well, yeah, fair enough. You think very highly of yourself. All right, let's move on to the next question, Kale.
Okay.
This is from @Jedi Trousers, one of our faves as well. Everyone's our favorite.
Yes,
but asks you get to dynamite one Disney Parks ride and replace it with anything you want. What would you dynamite and replace?
This is a very good one. Okay.
What if I was like Cinderella's Carousel? I'm just kidding. We're not going to dynamite.
Oh my gosh.
People would lose their minds.
Okay. If I could dynamite one.
You know what I'm going to do? I have an answer for this one. I'm getting rid of, and I hate to say this because they're some of my favorite characters. I'm gonna blow up Winnie the Pooh and replace it back with Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Let me tell you, you know what? That can be both of our answers because I am not a diehard fan of the Winnie the Pooh ride, and I did not start going to Disney until after Mr. Toad's Wild Ride was no longer a thing, and so I have never been on it.
I mean, that's on you because you can still go to California, but yeah, that's what I would do. I would replace it. But your face on Zoom is telling you're never going to California because you have a famous rivalry.
Yes. Yeah. Me and California duking it out.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I'm on board with this one, or at least get a better Winnie the Pooh. I feel like they dropped the ball on the Winnie the Pooh ride.
They dropped the ball on the Winnie the Pooh ride.
It's cute, but it could be better. Have you seen the ones that are like trackless Winnie the Pooh rides? That's what I want.
I am a diehard fan of trackless rides. I think they are the most fun
So let's get that. So Dynamite Winnie the Pooh. Replace it with anything, really. Just get rid of Winnie the Pooh.
Get it out of here. Seriously.
Take out the poo, you know?
Okay.
Wow.
Patrick.
Yes, Kale?
I thoroughly enjoyed spending this Saturday morning with you discussing Disney's Wish.
I'm glad that you did. One of us had a good time today. Hey-oh. See you next time, everybody.
All right.
That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast. Submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See ya real soon.
You're not going to comment?
I think I just did.